Ever since I made that in-depth video about Destiny Item Manager and how to use all of the aspects within it, I've had so many comments coming back asking about other tools that might be out there. And so this is part 2 of a 3-video series. In the first one, we dove into weapon investigation, and today I'm going to be showing you guys all about how to track your statistics. And what I mean by that is like monitoring your progress as a player, whether it's kill-death ratio, accuracy with a particular archetype or gun, looking at other reports, and essentially tools that can help you monitor your improvement from season to season, or how a lot of people get a good feeling about someone who might be hacking when they're playing them in trials. Now, before I jump into that, I want to bring up the fact that a gentleman named Joe Scanlon posted on my recent Titan video where I was teaching people how to play Behemoth that there's a pretty neat trick when you're using Shiver Strike, which is basically that mega melee on the Stasis Titan. And I gotta say, although it's not effective every single time, it's pretty damn slick and very quick when it works. So we're gonna look at that quickly and then hop right into the resources. In my video, I told you that when you use the Shiver Strike and you hit somebody, don't expect them to just automatically die. I said always have the mindset of having to shoot them after in order to kill them immediately. I still think that's very important, but take a look here. If you hit melee instantly after you do that Shiver Strike, or in other words, you're spamming melee during the contact of that Shiver Strike with your opponent, you can instant double melee them and get the kill. If you feel like you keep launching them out of your range, something I noticed was that if I let go of forward, in other words, W on mouse and keyboard, it has a way lower success rate. So I think you need to have that action initiated for that forward momentum. I have to throw the disclaimer that if your opponent melees back, you often end up behind them and it doesn't work. But for the most part, with a regular Shiver Strike, this works and it's really fast. Now, I'll probably talk about this again when I do the Titan Exotic video, but let's jump on to the next category within the websites and resources, which is category 4, matchmaking and stats. GuardianGG, run by GG Software, was always really slick for quickly looking up game history, whether it was myself or any opponent, but lately it's been a little bit buggy. I wanted to include it because it was my go-to for so long, so I'll show you regardless, but then we'll jump on to another example. On the main page, it'll give you leaderboards for each playlist, like Survival, for example, or Control and Quick Play, and then all of those top players who have the most ELO, which is just a numbering system that websites and games can typically use to try and rank people. But I'm going to jump up to the search bar and we're going to search our good friend Apathetic. And you should definitely go to his YouTube and subscribe because I'm telling you, this guy's insane. If you see multiple options pop up, it's just because it's covering all the platforms. I'm going to click on Steam. First thing I want to do is make sure I'm on his Warlock because we all know that this guy sucks on a Titan and a Hunter. Am I right? Am I right? I'm going to click on his Warlock. On the left-hand side, you're going to see what the weapon loadout is. I don't really worry about this too much because people usually drag things around all the time, whether they're playing or not. And so the only time you might find this useful is, let's say you're watching a stream and you really want to know what gun or what they're using and what the perks are on them. Well, you can do this. Up here, you'll see filter by mode. This will show you all of those different playlists again if you want to see what their match history is for one specific type. I'm going to leave it on all. Looks like he's been playing a lot of Iron Banner. Let's just pick a random match here. You can expand it and then bingo, it tells you this team versus this team, who won, who lost. The reason why there's more than 6 names here, even though it's a 6v6 playlist, is probably because people left and then some people joined in late. If you click on his name, it'll expand it, and look at this: 19 kills with his hand cannon, 2 kills with a shotgun, and 3 kills with a super. That's what I like to see. Using another example, let's click on Josie here. Same deal, steady hand 4 kills, grenade 1 kill, and melee 1 kill. So that's kind of neat. You can see where you're getting most of your kills, whether it's with grenades or your primary, power, whatever it is. The reason why I say this is a bit buggy is because whenever there's updates made to the game, sometimes these things just show up as NA or they don't show up at all. But either way, it's a very effective method to quickly go and look at some of your game stats or match history. Like every website, there's other things you can do here, but that's what I wanted to focus on. Destiny Tracker is part of the giant tracker network and thus has a lot more detail than Guardian. It just takes a lot longer to load each match. This is where you can go for all kinds of stats like your kill death ratio in the game, or maybe even just your headshot percentage across all hand cannons in the game within the Crucible. All right, here we are on the main page. Again, you have a login option, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Let's search our buddy Apathetic again. Here's the main page, somewhat of a similar layout. You've got PvP stats here highlighted. I could see PvE if I wanted to. It's showing you an ELO per category, control, clash, etc. On the left-hand side, you've got that similar loadout. If I scroll down, there's lots of info. Trials of Osiris stats, comp stats, but the cool stuff is all right here in the bar. Let's go to seasons. It defaults to the current season, which is 12 right now, but maybe let's go to season 10. It's showing his control KD of 2.37. This is a way for people to see if they're improving within a particular playlist, mind you, but either way, within control, he was at 2.37 for that one season. You got 1,300 kills. Let's go to season 12, 3.58 KD with 8,400 kills. Some of you might be like, oh, easy, the guy bought cheats. I hope he owes Bungie money now because of that lawsuit. But actually, it means he's just played way more right now than he did earlier. Either way, it's a tool for you to see how you're doing. Similarly, we're actually going to go to matches now. You can take a look and say, hey, last day that I played, which is 1 day ago, I played 9 games, 4 wins, 5 losses. How'd I do for that session? 3.56 KD. Well, what about the session before that? 2.57. Another way just to kind of see how you've been faring within one session to another. But it is important to notice that, well, one's Iron Banner and one is Trials. You're obviously going to do worse in one than the other. Next up, you could technically look at maps to see how you are on one versus the other. Like maybe you're really good at Equinox compared to maybe Jav 4, or if you're curious if you're better at Burnout than Endless Veil or something like that. But the real juice is all in the detailed tab. And select the mode and choose Crucible, which is everything, or you could pick a specific category again. I'm going to leave it on Crucible. It shows you their bests right here. So best single game kills is 59, best streak 44. Combat is their overall KD, meaning with nearly 100,000 kills, he's stuck to a 2.65, which is very stellar. And then the last thing I want to show you is this really neat piece here. Weapon accuracy. I hear way too much from people that aim doesn't matter in Destiny. Like, yeah, I get it. It's full of bullet magnetism. It's full of aim assist. The aim is nowhere near as important compared to other games, but for God's sakes, it matters. If you miss your shots, you will lose. Taking a look at someone like Apathetic, he has 65% accuracy over 37,000 kills. Go and take a look at your accuracy and see how you fare. Of course, I have to toss in the disclaimer that an FPS isn't just aim, it's aim plus all of the mechanics and map control and all of that good stuff. Then you toss in the amount of ability spam that exists in Destiny, and sure, it's less important, but this is a really neat way of seeing how you are with your guns. Another alternative is Braytech by Tom Chapman. This one has a really nice user interface. It doesn't have macro information like that headshot percentage across all hand cannons in the game. It can also be a bit buggy when you're looking at your match history if you play a lot of private matches that you're curious about, but other than that, it'll cover pretty much everything you want in terms of match history. Insane amount of info on this website that I think Patty's going to cover. So sticking to the theme of this category, when you first get on here, if it looks like click on the gear wheel in the top right hand corner, make sure you click on dark. On the left hand side, it's going to ask you to sign in, authenticate, pick your character and all that good stuff. And then up here is where all the juice is for this website. I'm going to go to reports. On the left, you can choose what you want. I'm in Crucible. Here we are with control, and click on any match. We'll pick my last one, scroll down, and there's the match info. I was on Alpha Team. We lost 129 to 150. If I click on my name, it'll actually bring me back to choosing my character. So don't do that. Make sure you click on the right hand side of your name. That'll expand it and have some pretty amazing info. Apparently this match, I was testing out the Icalos, the Heritage, Stars and Shadow. I was obviously just messing around doing whatever, the no time to explain. Melee kills 5, Go Titan, grenade kills, super kills, and your medals on the right hand side. Super user friendly as well. Last but certainly not least is Destiny Trials Report. This is probably the most popular website on the weekends. Vlad and Mark do an excellent job with this. Here's the main page. People often come here to quickly figure out what the rewards are. So this past weekend was on Dead Cliffs. It gave you legs at 3 wins, Summoner at 5 wins, yada yada. They also do a pretty cool thing each week, which is this challenge mode. So in here, they said, I'm getting a bit tired of all that Ice Guardian. Defeat your foes in matches where all of your kills are with a weapon. And what this meant for the weekend was that if you won an entire Trials match with only weapon kills, it would count those weapon kills. So let's say you had 10 weapon kills and no abilities, it would count the 10. But if you had 8 weapon kills and 2 abilities, it would actually just count 0. Props to Scrub for absolutely dominating that, and then Grenader Jake for coming in second. Additionally, when you see people making comparisons on like Twitter, for example, you can click on all weeks. It'll show you what the meta was for that specific weekend of play. So this past one, Steady Hand, Fell Winters, Adored, Sturm. Going to Radiant Cliffs, Fell Winters, Adored, Sturm, Steady Hand. This is obviously really strong in the 120s category right now. So you go back to week 34, which I think was the weekend before Beyond Light came out, and it was all Gnawing Hunger, Beloved, and Revoker. Let's pick on our buddy Brave X Hero now. If you haven't noticed, there's a bit of a recurring theme when I talk about my buddies, Patty, Brave X Hero, and Appa. Brave is another content creator who provides some really good and insightful stuff for Crucible. Seriously, I know most of you guys know me from these gentlemen referencing me, but if you don't know who Brave is, go to his channel. He's got some really hilarious stuff, and he's been really upping up his game lately. So it'd mean a lot if you checked out both those channels. I click on his name here, and it's gonna pull up a lot of info on him and whoever he played with last. So usually during the weekend, if you run into a team and you're curious what their stats are, people will actually have this up on a monitor right next to where they're playing and look up their opponents every time. You can see total stats across across the playlist. You can see what subclass they're running, the guns that they're choosing. He's got a sword on here, but remember, this is just what was last equipped. Doesn't mean he was using a sword in trials. He could have a sword on right now for all I know. But if someone corrects me wrong, then we all get to go to his next video and comment, take the sword off, bruh. After all of that, you can see what their weekly KD is. And that's how people typically notice when there's recovs being done. Let's say you had someone that was like a 1.0 KD overall at the top, but they're running like a 5 KD for that weekend. They either just bought hacks or that they paid someone to hop on their account and do a recov, because nobody just all of a sudden goes from a 1 KD to a 5 KD in trials. I'm sorry, it just doesn't happen unless they've only played like 2 or 3 games and got off. All in all, a really handy website. Now that concludes part 2 out of 3 in this series, and the last video I'm going to bring you for resources covers things like armor sets, events and mapping, some pretty unique honorable mentions, and as well as how to use community content to the best of your advantage. A perfect example is if you have any questions at all, I highly recommend you join the Discord. I've got a link in the description. I try and plug this every video because we're growing really fast right now, and we've got some wonderful people in there who are helping answer questions on any area of the game. And I want to take this second to point out that we've got weekly community scrims that we started last week. There's a rule set and steps on how to join. It's all about people who are trying to improve but don't have a safe setting to do so, and I'd love to see you there. As always, if you found this helpful or you enjoyed it, be sure to rate the video or give me feedback in the comments, and subscribe if you want to catch the next set of videos like the quick draw glitch. But other than that, take care.